into the building segment of this. Yay. So you're going to be working directly with a fork of the Equity UI repo. But to kind of minimize, like you sitting here and setting up stuff, I think that would take a lot of time. So the instructions that I have here is that you're gonna you're gonna fork the repo on Code Sandbox, and then you're gonna work directly on Code Sandbox on the assignment. So would love for you to go to tinyurl.com/hackathon-exercise 2024. So if you can just type it in. It's pretty readable, and that should give you this document. And then I'll give you like maybe 15 minutes to kind of like follow all of this steps to set up on Code Sandbox, and then we'll get together and talk about the exercise. But yeah, just make sure that you get this working. And if you have any trouble, let me know and I can run over and help. But the instructions are pretty clear. Oh, and everyone has a GitHub account. Yes, okay, cool. It's kind of nice that I see like the cursor where everyone is at with the steps. That's helpful. Yeah, so go to the step when you're there. You're going to be working with the repo directly. This is just for the sake of the exercise, because not everyone here is a fellow. Yeah. So like, once you get started, you will actually have to like work with it locally. And if at that point you come into like issues, we can help you. This is just to speed things up.
We just learned all these stuff last week in YouTube. So.
What's that?
So we're like all learning together. I'm gonna download that plugin.
Yeah, helpful. Oh, this little bar is so annoying. Okay. Everybody doing good? The steps are aligning. Okay. Take your time. What?
I'm just running this pass.
Okay.
You know, for me, every time I see like a Figma wireframe, and I have to like, when I'm just like looking at it, I always feel like I can't breathe. Am I really, can I really do something like that? Or
Come on.
that's a normal feeling, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but then you break it down and
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
it's
looking at the-
more doable. Oh, another thing it made me think of, like when Carla was like talking about, oh, following like patterns and stuff like that. It's like when you start working in a new code base, or if you start with a company in the future, like your best bet is looking at code that other people have written and what kind of patterns they use.
Yeah.
The more predictable you are in that, like firstly, it'll teach you a lot, and then you'll kind of know like, okay, this is how things are done in this
Always
particular code base.
Look for patterns in what the code base that you're using and use that into your own example.
Yeah.
Or within, I mean, like, for example, you could search for stuff in Stack Overflow,
Yeah.
but you could also search for stuff in GitHub, right? So let's say, for example,
Yeah.
you want to learn how to use a library that the documentation is not clear in NPM. Use GitHub to like see how other people are doing. Yeah.
When we paste that, check out this, there's an error. I'm getting it.
I can.
Oh, I do, okay.
Yeah, the step 8.
Okay. Okay.
Or I think step 7 is maybe one.
Oh, okay.
Once that.
For the website, navigate, where am I navigating?
Oh, so like you should see kind of like this mirror on Code Sandbox, right? So like under source, you do not?
I see.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay, that's it.
The logic?
Yes, I guess it was.
Okay.
Um, Okay.
If I wanted to do JavaScript for this,
Mhm.
I also just change the file name to avatar.js.
Yeah, so I pasted the code, the JavaScript version of that here. Yeah, I don't think you need to change the name, because TypeScript is like, yeah, JavaScript works with TypeScript file extensions, but yeah, if you want to. Oh, it's working. Wait.
Just, fail to fetch something dynamically. You seen that error before?
No.
Wait, what's it?
It just.
No, I thought stuff I knew it has to do. I thought you have to do stuff.
So you did.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. I didn't read.
Wait, so step nine is copy paste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even.
Do we have to run yarn or PNPM?
No, the setup should run that for you. Let me see, maybe I didn't push up something. No, everything is up to date. Can you like check out main and see if that works? Git check out main. Git check out main and then PNPM storybook again. See if that works.
PNPM.
And did you guys have any issues when you, is Storybook running fine for you?
No.
No.
Oh, no.
It's
Yeah.
like playing the avatar not being there. I thought it was supposed
Oh,
to.
the day, fields of flesh and
So,
It's just on the branch? or-
yeah, I just totally thought it was just a great avatar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're stopping because you.
Okay, 1 second.
Need a bigger.
Maybe, try. Did I say- So,
What step are you on?
My branch is just like, it's not here.
go check out, do git check out hackathon exercise 2024. Yeah. Oh, like, yes. 2024, okay. And then do PNPM install, I think that's the command. Yeah. Maybe that's the missing step. Okay, now do PNPM storybook. Hopefully that works.
If I'm getting ill to batch.
I don't know if they did.
Okay, I think we just solved that issue that everyone's running into, but once, yeah. Okay, good. So the, one of the steps, I'm gonna just revise this really quickly, is you wanna check out hackathon exercise 2024, right? And then next you want to do, let me delete this. You want to do a PNPM install to install all the dependency in the branch. Yeah, and then you will start PNPM storybook. So if you want to do it all together, you can just like do and
Yeah.
and then I'll do this
And.
PNPM story.
Copy.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
that should work. And so like when storybook runs, you should just see this storybook 1K.
That's.
Oh, did I? How to take one?
I see the link.
I'm not sure why my.
I tried to run the install, but then now it just closed.
Let's do restart.
Oh, so you probably have it open somewhere.
Mhm.
Did you close it out first?
Um,
So you have to close out the first one,
Interesting.
install, and then repeat.
Yeah.
Let's open a new terminal.
so right. You know what?
You just start a new container.
Like start. So how do we do that? Oh,
Yeah, just start a new container.
I'll just read.
do this. That's fine. Next, apply and restart.
Like that. I'm like,
Wait, what?
I think it does.
Okay.
Should I just?
Yeah, let's hold off on this. Let me go through the exercise instruction and then I'll go over and help you. Thank you. If anything, if you can like use my computer. Okay, it's everybody good for the most part? Do you see this? Yeah, okay, cool. So I'll run through the instructions first, and then we'll take like half an hour to code out this component. Don't worry, get as far as you can. There are like different iterations of it, I called it. So if you do feel ambitious after the hackathon and you're like, ooh, kind of want to build out the whole thing, then you can like go back here and go through iteration 2 and 3. But for the time that we have, I think MVP is enough. So that being said, this is what we're going to be building, this lovely avatar component. And if you open up the Figma link, that should take you here, right? And you can, if you toggle on dev mode, hopefully that will work for you. Oh, so it's that link right here, Avatar Figma. So yeah, if you toggle on dev mode, you should be able to like click into the component and like see like the styles and things over here. So let me go back here. Is it only accessible to
I
team member?
don't think they have access to demo.
That's okay.
It's alright.
Yeah, it's okay. You can eyeball it. Yeah, it doesn't have to be precise.
And then.
All right, so if you navigate to avatar.tsx, is everyone here on their code sandbox? Yeah, good. I have set up for you like kind of the skeleton of it, so you don't have to worry too much about, passing ref. You don't have to worry too much about like, like defining types and stuff, because I just want to get you like into like building the component as soon as possible. So that's in TypeScript, right? If you prefer working in JavaScript, you can go ahead and copy this and replace all the code in that file. So this is just plain JavaScript, but they should align. All right. So what you're gonna do is, so you have avatar.tsx, right? And then within avatar.tsx, within docs, you're gonna open up avatar stories, right? So have them both open, avatar TSX, avatar stories. So I'm just gonna quickly go through like what the heck is going on in this starter code, right? So firstly, what we are building, here are some of the specs that you would want. You want the avatar component to take in an alt prop, a source prop, and a size prop, right? So what ultimately is, wait, sorry, let me put this down. What ultimately is going to happen is that you want to build 3 variations of this. And don't worry about the placeholder, just look at the avatar component up here, right? A small size, a medium size, and a large size. You see that underlying this component, what you're really rendering out is an image that the user pass in, right? For it to display on their avatar. So that's what the source is, because source is like the image, like either the URL or the file path that will lead you to that image. All right, so that's the inner image. And then you see like a kind of like a light blue border around that. And so how I broke it down for you is that we have an avatar container and then a style avatar image. So a container is going to be around and you can style that any kind of like, that border, that light blue border would be there. And right now I just have like a border of 2 pixel solid. I transparentize that that variable for you because it is like a slight variation of like the color blue 25 that we have. So don't worry about the fallback image, the fallback logic for now. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna use emotion style, right, for this. And just going back here again. All right. I define out default avatar sizes for you. So if the user passed in small, it should correlate to a 32 pixel width and height, medium 115, large 150. Okay. When you use style component, is everyone familiar with how to use style component, or if you heard of it, used it before, or not so much? Like so typically, I think the more familiar way that you, I guess like define style is probably through like a CSS file, right? This is a little bit different because what style component lets you do is, I'm importing it here from emotion style. What it's letting you do is that it's letting you write your style directly within your JSX. So JSX CSS, something like that. Yeah. So instead of having like an entire like CSS file, what you're going to do is you're going to kind of like define out the components that make the style components that make up your main component. So if you look at avatar container, it's defined up here. And you do that via like style dot whatever element that this container is supposed to be. right? And then you can go ahead and like code your styles directly in this, in the body of this. Does that make sense? So whatever's, yeah, instead of kind of like going with the direct CSS way, yeah, so that's how you do it, right? And then what else? Oh, another thing on tokens, right? Like I mentioned before, we don't have all of the tokens in place. What we do have are some primitives. So I have destructured them out for you here because we do have like a theme context, and we basically, long story short, is that you have access to those token within this destructuring, right? So you see how I use color.blue25 here? So that's how you can use it as well. Any questions so far? No, it's a little bit confusing, but and yeah. So yeah, so I'm gonna leave this to you. I'll like hop around to help as needed. Let's take sorry, forgot stories. So you see how like we have Storybook running, right? How we declare like our stories is through the stories file, right? And what I have here are archetypes, right? So first we define out like a meta. This is just like Storybook conventions that you typically do for every story file. So you tell it like what component this is the story for, and what are the archetypes and what kind of controls and options you should show. So the settings that I put in here correlates to what you see here. You see size, small, medium, large, right? And then the user can like toggle between the three. Like ultimately what should happen is that when I click on small here, I should see the small version of this. Don't worry about the text, just focus on the avatar in here instead of just this blue box. Does that make sense? And then later on, when you do pass in the source, you can go here and you can reference the FemCubator logo, which I have here, like so. Okay. This is how you pass a prop into a story. Okay. All right.
Has anyone like used Storybook before? Like no one. So Storybook is a way for us to like view our components without having to run the entire application, right? Well,
No.
not so much with a book, it's like you use Postman for like API. Yeah, but on the front end side, you want to be able to view those components without having to build an entire application. Right? So that's what Storybook framework does, right? So we use that to just be able to, because like when you're building you're writing codes, you want to see what your component looks like. So that's what Storybook is.
How is it, like, how do you run just like?
Oh, then you'd have to create that Storybook.
Yeah.
account.
You
Oh,
see.
it's just the file and then you run it.
Right.
And it's-
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise you'd have to build an entire
Yeah,
application.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Thing.
Yeah.
So this is like a pretty much industry standard, like way of,
So
Building
when
component.
people talk about component libraries, this is kind of a format.
yeah.
This is how we display
Storybook.
our component library. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's do until 4:10, 4:15. And then we'll like live code the solution. But yeah, I do want you to kind of try and see how far you can get. Feel free to look at the other components as inspiration. Right. So yeah, so first step is just like, how are you going to pass in these props? How are they going to correlate to the styles that you see on the Figma? Okay. I don't think there's a lot of actually design token stuff that you might need. No, I'm wrong. There are some, but you see here on the table. Here. Okay. right, so we're gonna flow around. If you have your storybook working, work with it. And yeah, if you need help, we'll run around and help.